I want to address this thing with Kevin Hart about them talking about Kevin Hart was made some anti-gay tweets back in 2009, and they got him kicked off the Oscars. He was supposed to host it, I guess. And I just heard this days ago, just a few days ago, and then I was like, well, what did he say or whatever? It's 2009. Um, if everybody was called upon to answer to something that they said a few days ago, there wouldn't be many people anyway. Because I got a big mouth. Sometimes I say something, and it's just my first reaction to stuff. It's not necessarily the right thing, and I put my foot in it a lot of times because I say things that sometimes is just a reactionary thing. I'm not trying to defend uh, what he said or didn't say, but he said, look, he changed since he said he's 40 years old now. Don't we believe people can change? If we don't believe people can change and we don't give them a break of the life they live now versus the life they lived then, if we don't give them a break, if we don't give them the opportunity to apologize, which he did, if we don't say, because change has to do with not just uh, wearing different clothes or getting older. Change has to do with a mental process, a substance process, something that happens in your heart. And sometimes you think you know people, you don't know people. When I was a little girl, we used to call. I can't even tell you how they used to call gay people. Gay people know what they used to be called. But let me tell you something. When I was a little girl, gay people fed my family. We were so hungry that a neighbor came by and said, "Oh my goodness, I overbaked." They were the kindest people to us back in the day when it was the early '60s, and that community was still in shadow or whatever. They fed us many, many times. I'm telling you, fed us many times. So I have never had a problem with the gay community. I never had a problem with the people that I love, my friends in the '70s who came out. But sometimes you have these pre things, sometimes the way you see things are not the way you really see them. That's why I said learn to unlearn what you think you know. You don't know everybody. Like somebody told me, well, Venice, don't talk about the millennials because you don't know every millennial. And that's true. Because sometimes I say kids today, they don't care about nothing or whatever. But that's not true. There are 9-year-old kids changing the world, changing the life of a bumblebee. There are kids going to deal with gorillas. So sometimes we generalize and we say the wrong thing. I think Kevin meant what he said when he said he was sorry, and he said he's not going to go back and apologize again. I think it's unfair of how they're treating him. Um, and anyway, if you can't be touted as a person to change, didn't the Oscars change? The Oscars made Hattie McDaniel sit in a segregated part before she did her acceptance speech. Movie Hollywood used to call African Americans and in their movie scripts or whatever, and the word nigger was frequent. I mean, let's look at one of the famous movies, Blazing Saddles. Let's look at those things. People do change. Did Hollywood change? Because I sometimes it's just what's popular. I think some people just like to kick up dirt in your face just cause they can. Just because, so I don't know. All I have to say is I think Kevin deserves a chance. He deserves a break.